You have been here before. Maybe not in this life, maybe not in this body, but you recognize this place. Close your eyes. Can you smell it? That sharp, metallic tang of ozone and heated plastic tastes like static on your tongue. It hums with the silence of a server room that has been cooling for 10 years. We all know the surface level of the internet. It is bright. It is loud. It is the glossy, high-definition world of 4K vlogs and algorithmically perfect faces. But aesthetics are not just filters we slap on photos. They are psychological architecture. They are the collective dreams and nightmares of a generation raised by the glow of screens. You click this video because you feel the phantom itch in the back of your brain. You see an image of an empty mall or a low-resolution field of grass that looks too green to be real, and you feel a sudden drop in cabin pressure, a physical sickness. You want to know what lies beneath the glossy surface. You want to know why the nostalgia hurts. So, take a deep breath, hold it. We are descending, and the farther down we go, the less human it becomes. The surface, the lie of cleanliness. Let's start where the sun still hits the water. The era of pure optimism. Rewind to the mid-2000s. This is Frutiger Aero. It was everywhere from 2004 to 2013. Windows Vista, glossy icons, skeuomorphism that begged you to touch it. Green grass, blue skies, bubbles of glass and water floating in a void of white purity. It was a corporate utopia. It promised us that technology would be clean. It told us the future was friendly. It was an aesthetic of pure, unadulterated hope. But that future never arrived, did it? The clean, eco-friendly technological paradise was a lie. The bubbles burst. The glass shattered under the weight of the 2008 crash and the climate crisis. The cultural theorist Mark Fisher called this the slow cancellation of the future. He argued that we have lost the ability to imagine a future that is radically different from the present. We expected flying cars and eco-cities, and we got doom-scrolling and microplastics. So, what happens when a generation realizes the promise was broken? We start looking backward. We retreat into vaporwave. We hide in the digital shopping malls of our childhood. But as we sink lower, the safety of that nostalgia begins to rot. The water gets murky, and the silence begins to creep in. The descent, the hum of abandonment. Now the pressure is building. We are leaving the era of human-centric design. We are entering the liminal space. Quiet. Listen closely. Can you hear it? That high-pitched whine of a dying fluorescent ballast? The electric drone of a refrigerator in an empty house? It is the sound of electricity flowing through a system that no longer serves a purpose. Why does an empty school hallway at midnight terrify you? Physically, it is harmless, but its function has been removed. A hallway is designed for movement. A school is designed for students. When you remove the people, the building becomes a corpse. This is canopsia, the eerie, forlorn atmosphere of a place that is usually bustling with people, but is now abandoned and quiet. It forces you to confront a terrifying question. Does the world exist when we aren't looking at it? Liminal spaces are the waiting rooms of reality, and the internet became obsessed with them because we spend half our lives in a digital waiting room. We are always scrolling, always hovering in a state of suspended animation, waiting for a future that is already lost. But simply being lonely wasn't enough. The internet needed to feel something sharper. It needed to see the decay. It needed to feel the texture of the medium breaking down. The twilight zone, artifacts of memory. We are deep now. The light from the surface is gone. The oxygen is thin. Welcome to Weirdcore and Dreamcore. If Frutiger Aero was the dream of the future, this is the nightmare of the past. Look at the texture. Do you see the JPEG compression artifacts? The jagged squares where the data has rotted away. The blurry edges that look like mold growing on a photograph. The image itself is falling apart. This isn't high definition. This is digital decay. Amateur flash photography in pitch black rooms. Text that floats in the air saying things like, "Wake up," or "This is not your home." Why does this have millions of views? Because it mimics the texture of a forgotten trauma. It feels like a memory you repressed. It taps directly into the uncanny valley, captures the specific feeling of dissociation. You know that feeling when you've been staring at a screen for 6 hours and you stand up and your hands don't feel like your own? That is Weirdcore. Tells you, yes, reality is broken. You aren't crazy. The world really does look like a bad simulation. It validates the feeling that something is wrong with the timeline. But there is a level below even this, a level where the playful spookiness ends and genuine grief begins. The abyss, the wound that won't heal. Here, the pressure is crushing. The walls are closing in. We encounter Traumacore. I must warn you, this is not for fun. This is not a vibe. Traumacore takes the cute, innocent imagery of childhood, Hello Kitty, bright pastels, soft playgrounds, and overlays it with text about abuse, suicide, and inescapable pain. It is the visual language of a child trying to process horrors they don't have the vocabulary for. It contrasts the softness of the aesthetic with the hardness of the reality. Society tells us to move on, to heal, to be productive workers, but the internet remembers everything. The internet does not forgive. Therefore, these aesthetics emerge as a scream into the void. It is a rejection of healing. It is a refusal to get better. It is wallowing in the aesthetic of the wound itself. It proves that aesthetics are not just art. They are survival strategies for a generation that feels entirely helpless against the machinery of the world. It is the only way to externalize the internal rot. The void, mathematics of the dead. We have hit the bottom. There is no light here, no nostalgia, no irony, no pain, just the void. Here we find things that barely have names. Dead internet theory, the hollow earth, images generated by AI that look like objects but aren't. Look at an AI-generated image of a living room. It has walls, but the geometry is impossible. It has furniture, but you cannot sit on it. Shadows fall in the wrong direction. It mimics reality without understanding it. This is the final aesthetic of the iceberg, post-humanism. It is a world without us. It is the view of the universe through the eyes of a machine. Cold, indifferent, mathematical. And isn't that what we were afraid of all along? We started with Frutiger Aero, a human dream of a clean future. We went through Liminal Spaces, mourning the absence of humans. We went through Traumacore, screaming about human pain. And we ended up here, with images made by machines, for machines, consumed by algorithms. This aesthetic iceberg tracks our slow realization that the future we were promised is gone, and we are left alone in a digital hallway that stretches on forever. The lost future is not coming back, but there is a strange comfort in the bottom of the ocean. When you accept that the glossy utopia was a lie, when you stop fighting the confusion, the silence becomes peaceful. You can finally stop performing. You can stop pretending to be happy. You can just exist. So, the next time you see a grainy picture of an empty playground at night, and you feel that strange pull in your chest, don't look away. Stare into the static, because that darkness, it isn't empty. It's a mirror.